Morning. For the second time. I ended the streaming I was doing probably about half an hour or so ago because, well, I guess I might be somebody all of a sudden because somebody thought it was a good idea to start trolling me whilst I was doing a live stream. And some of the things that were being posted were extreme, and because this is the first time of me using Streamlabs, I actually sort of thought to myself, if other people can see these comments, it's going to, one, leave a very, very bad impression of the person writing the comments, and two, it's and yeah, hi to Stud down in Ashford. So thanks for watching again. I was just saying about the comments that made me stop the broadcast earlier. I'm not sure whether you guys can actually basically see those comments. Presuming the fact that you're saying she was a bad lady means that probably you can when it's live streaming. I'm not sure. If you could confirm that for me, Stud, I would be really grateful, actually. Let's let that wagon go by, shall we? Yeah, there's some very troubled people out there. Yeah, you did see your comments. Okay, that's a real shame. I was just stopped at services at Nottingham to actually look back on the video on YouTube and see whether it shows the comments there on YouTube, and it doesn't. I'm glad to say. If it does at some point, I will have to sadly delete the video. But yeah, that's my first experience of being trolled. I've no idea who that person was, or they seem to think they know me, but apparently after doing a bit of Googling and a bit of looking on YouTube, she's well known as an internet troll, so why she picked my live feed just now, I'm not quite sure. Maybe she drives a Nissan Leaf or something, which I don't know. Stud, as you're watching this, can I ask, do you drive an EV? I'd be very interested to know that. So let's give you an update anyway on the progress of the journey so far. Done 45 miles from where we're charging, and current miles per kilowatt is 4.5. So the 17 mile or so I had in hand is now 25 miles I've got in hand now, which is good. Again, still the climate is on 21 degrees, so I'm keeping nice and toasty. Yeah, no problem. So you're looking to get an EV, that's great. I highly recommend the Ioniq. If money's no object, yeah, absolutely I would go for a Tesla, who wouldn't? It's quite interesting watching the few videos that are just popping up now and again on the Audi e-tron. Do tend to think that most Audis look the same, but that's okay if that's what you like. And certainly you can't deny the build quality on those machines as well. They're very, very good. But yeah, not quite my cup of tea. Into the roadworks now, so 50 mile an hour. One thing that's really good about the Ioniq, I find when dealing with roadworks, is that yeah, you've got cruise control, but you've also got a speed limiter. And so at the moment I've just popped the speed limiter on. I set that to 50 on the indicated speed. Actual speed, if I was to go by GPS, it's probably about 48. But so sorry for a slight pause there. Just had a bit of an incoming call. So yeah, great thing about roadworks, I know most people don't like roadworks, is in an EV, instead of using more fuel because you're stuck in traffic or you're in congestion, accelerating, decelerating, is the fact that actually you can actually drive more economical. So current miles per kilowatt is going up whilst we're driving at 50 here. Just give this lorry a little bit of room to pull in. But I would highly recommend driving an EV. I absolutely would not go back to an internal combustion engine. I've just been in Malta for a week last week and had a hire car which was a Kia. So it's quite good in that some of the switch gear were very similar between the Kia and the Hyundai. And that was nice and familiar. The sat-nav system was not existent, unfortunately, in the Kia, but Google Maps, as ever, was great. That was interesting. That Citroen and that Mercedes nearly had a bit of paint swapping going on. And yeah, 1.4 litre petrol engine it had. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Malta, but it's an extremely hilly country and some very steep gradients on the roads. Don't necessarily mark the gradients out very well, in fact, if at all. So basically it was a case of I had one very, very smelly clutch. I did say clutch. Yeah, it's a typical hire car, obviously being used and abused by previous drivers. It got 24,000 kilometres on it, and it was not pleasant, I have to say. So those of you that are just joining the feed now, thanks for joining. We're in the Ioniq Electric 28 kilowatt. Looking forward to the new version of the Ioniq coming out. There's all sorts of rumours abound at the moment that may take the winter range up to probably about 170, 180 miles, and summer range to about 240. So that would be very welcome. And I have to say, if they do squeeze in, and I think they could, the 64 kilowatt hour battery into the Ioniq, I actually think that would be one amazing car. Recently, Model 3, and indeed if you get the four-wheel drive, which seems to be all that Tesla are selling at the moment, again the Ioniq is more efficient due to the aerodynamics. Let's hope they don't spoil that. Early sort of spy shots of the Ioniq definitely don't look like there is going to be too much of a radical change, it looks like. I have seen a spy shot where it's camouflaged and it looks like it, instead of the silver or black sort of plinth that exists at the moment on the Ioniq Electric, it actually will be a smaller patch. Give myself a bit of room. But yeah, comfort wise, certainly the Ioniq is very, very comfy. You've got a nice driving position, visibility is great. I know some people don't like the rear spoiler, but real advantages is if you get a driver very close to you at night time and their lights are somewhat dazzling, rear spoiler actually serves as a good mask for preventing that. You do have an electrochromatic rear view mirror as well, so that also cuts down dazzle. But yeah, I mean, not everybody's cup of tea, I guess, but I don't find it a problem. And certainly the aerodynamics of the vehicle are well and truly tested. So purpose of today's video, basically I was just thinking, let's just do a live stream on my way down to Coventry, show you, I can see your comments popping up, but they're not showing up on the actual YouTube video at this moment. But I think that possibly is an advantage, given part one of this video, which seemed, yeah, to cause... Wondering what that noise was, by the way. That was a Ryanair flight landing at East Midlands Airport. I presume this is the stranded vehicle. Yeah, so basically the dealership had chairs that were well and truly falling to bits. You could see the foam was exposed within them, and you definitely had a situation there where, yeah, it just wasn't a pleasant experience at all. I'd booked the test drive online through Nissan's website, and when I got there, they were completely surprised that I wanted a test drive in a Nissan Leaf. They did have a Nissan Leaf, 40 kilowatt, but it wasn't prepared, it hadn't been charged. It was the manager's car, he'd just driven in that morning and just happened to be there. It did also have another brand new demonstrator as well, but they hadn't. They'd only just offloaded it off the lorry during the last week and got all the plastic all over it. They hadn't prepared it, so they clearly weren't interested in basically trying to sell a Nissan Leaf at all. I did get to go out in the manager's 40 kilowatt, very, very brief drive, because it literally had 12, 13 miles range. And it was nice to drive, and you know, the single pedal driving on it, the e-pedal, where basically the car will come to a complete halt, was really good. It takes a bit of getting used to, and it's interesting when you go out from that car then back into a normal car and have to start using your brake again, I would say. But you nearly get that same effect with the Ioniq. The Ioniq, what happens is that if you set the regen to level 3 using the silver paddles behind the steering wheel, and basically with the silver paddles, your right one reduces the resistance, as I call it, but it's recuperation, properly up, regen is the other word for it. And the left one increases the amount of regen. So, for instance, I've got nothing behind me at the moment. You can see the distance I am from the lorry. I'm going to take my foot off. This is at level 3 regen. The nose dives, and I start braking. Brake lights go on. I'm going to pick up speed again before the traffic behind me does wonder what I'm up to. So yeah, it really is a braking system, but it also puts energy, regenerates energy into the battery, and eventually that will slow you down in the Ioniq to about 7 miles per hour. So when you're approaching traffic, you take your foot off, and you may need to use the brake to get that bit of assistance, but essentially you've got that regen that actually will slow you down to 7 miles an hour, and then you are rolling. And then to come to a complete stop in the Ioniq, you do need to press the brake pedal, but that really lowers the brake wear on the Ioniq. In the Nissan Leaf, that does it all the way down to 0, and obviously if you don't have enough distance, you obviously have the brake pedal there to actually give it the assistance that you need to make sure you stop as well. Both cars have collision avoidance. Again, I've done a video previously on collision avoidance. some people like that video, other people not so much, because I actually feel that there's a little hidden extra in the Ioniq, which they don't necessarily tell us about, because I've had instances where I've had vehicles approaching me from the rear very, very closely, and the car has actually shuffled across to the left-hand side of the carriageway, almost anticipating the risk of this vehicle coming at great speed behind me, which has surprised me. It's happened on 3 different occasions now in the 6 months that I've had it, and I've driven 20,000 miles in that 6 months, by the way. So yeah, safety systems are very good. Acceleration in the Leaf, very comparable to the Ioniq. Efficiency of the Leaf, it's a bit of a taller, heavier car. I don't think it is, well, it doesn't feel as aerodynamic as the Ioniq does. And I know when I've posted on social media groups that we're doing 4.6 miles per kilowatt hour, for instance, as I'm doing at the moment, this sort of weather, about 3 degrees here presently, you know, over a motorway, A road commute, basically people just generally, you know, are quite jealous of that have Nissan Leafs. And then of course there's Rapidgate, but I don't really want to talk about Rapidgate too much, because there is a software fix that is coming to UK Leaf owners, I understand. That noise, by the way, is the blind spot warning. Just sneaking into a gap there, and you can see a bit of the acceleration to get me back up to speed. And yeah, Rapidgate is what Rapidgate is. There's countless videos out there. I can't really comment on Rapidgate. I've not experienced it. Currently, at the moment, with the Hyundai Kona, there's talk about actually Wintergate because of the liquid-cooled battery, and that's why in part 1 of the videos I was talking about actually the fact that the cabin heat actually and the cabin cooling in summer actually has an impact on battery temperature in the Ioniq, whereas in the Kona it has active battery temperature management and cooling, but it seems to be more biased towards cooling. It's liquid cooled, and I do wonder, because of videos that are coming out about the Kona, if that liquid cooling, indicators are optional here folks, if that liquid cooling is actually you know, a disadvantage in winter, because it may not be insulated as well as it needs to be on the Kona. And certainly I've seen it with Bjorn Nyland's videos that he's done over the weekend, that basically the active cooling has been a problem. It's slowed down charging speed, and he's been using rapid chargers there that should be doing at least 70 kilowatt per hour charging, and haven't been able to achieve that with the Kona. It'd be interesting actually to compare the Ioniq in the same sort of conditions, whether that can still get 70 kilowatt. I have seen some videos he's done before which indicate that. Unfortunately, we don't have many 70 kilowatt or above chargers in the UK. I've learnt of one which actually is in my home county of Yorkshire. So yeah. Okay, so we've got a new message from Robert. Sorry Robert, I haven't come back to you sooner. It says, hi, enjoying your videos, getting an Ioniq next month, watching from Plymouth, Devon. Hi Robert, excellent choice. Well, on 2 fronts there actually. Devon, beautiful county, wonderful part of England, and it's not Cornwall, which is an advantage, I guess, depending on your perspective. I've never been to Cornwall and seen a car that doesn't have a dent in it. Maybe you can confirm that for me, Robert. But whenever I've been to Cornwall, every single car, particularly if it's got the Cornish County badge on it, it's usually got a nice dent in it as well, front wing or rear end usually. But hey, it's just an observation. Apologies if I'm wrong. The Ioniq, yeah, great choice. just wondering what colour you're getting. There's a really nice blue I've seen on the, and I'm not sure if it's on the electric, but it seems to have just come out on the plug-in hybrid and hybrid. Really deep blue. Quite a fan of blue, must admit. Also, I noticed we don't get the dark grey when you drive the electric in this country as well. And I think the dark grey with the copper accents would look really good. So, Stud likes the blue as well. Yeah, it's a very nice colour, I must admit. I think things that I'd quite like to see change with the Ioniq for future offerings is a bit of variety in the wheels. I know that affects the efficiency, but I'd like the choice. I'd like to be able to say, yeah, do you know what? Let's put some 18, 20-inch wheels on it. That would be really nice. Yeah, I think the window tinting as well. The Premium SE, which I've got, you get leather seats in it, which are brilliant. They're heated and cooled, which Robert, when you get the your car, if you've got a Premium SE, you will love the cooled seats in summer. Nobody likes sitting on hot leather in summer, particularly if you're wearing shorts. You know, so that's great. But why don't they put actually like tinted glass on the rear windows and the rear side windows? That really would be better. A bit of privacy glass, you know. I think that just improves the premium look of the vehicle. Hopefully that will come out in the near future. For those of you that don't know, if you go on Facebook, there is a Hyundai Ioniq electric group there here in the UK, although there's people from all over Europe that subscribe to it as well, so you see some of the vehicles from Holland and various other countries as well, and it's quite interesting what some people are doing with a bit of wrapping on the nose. So they're actually putting like a coloured protective film. One of the nicest ones I've seen is where they've actually done a copper colour, the same as the accents around the lights and on the rubbing strip on the bottom of the car, and what's around the dashboard as well. So they've actually done the nose. I didn't see the rear of it, but I presume they did the rear as well, in the same copper colour, and it actually looked really, really classy, I have to say. So, and it surprised me, to be honest. But you looked at it and you thought, yep, that's an electric car. So, yeah, really like that. There's somebody on there as well who's also put a grey protective film over their car, so it looks like the Hyundai grey, but it's actually got a matte sort of sheen to it as well. Not quite sure how you wash that. Because I know initially when matte paints and films came out, they were very difficult to keep clean, particularly with things like bird droppings. I didn't imagine I was going to talk about bird droppings this morning. I really didn't. Okay, steering wheel thinks I'm gone to sleep there. So yeah, hope you enjoy your Ioniq, Robert. It's definitely a great car. I'm sure people are sick of hearing me say that now. So, as an update on the journey, we've got 30 miles to go. We've got 54 miles range, and so basically we're going to just attack the last bit of the journey now a little bit more. Not that I'm running on particularly any time schedule as such, but basically just because we can, and I've got that capacity within the speed limits, of course. Still getting 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. And we've done, since the rapid charger in the first video, yeah, we've done 67 miles, and that's used up. In just a moment I'll be able to tell you that has used up, just coming up to 50% of the battery. Just wait for it to click down. It's like waiting for a kettle to boil, isn't it? Waiting for that final percentage to count off. It's not going to happen. Come on, battery. Tell me I've used 50% since my rapid charge. I'm sure talking to it works. Another thing I'd like to see change on the Ioniq is actually the charging station information. That needs to be more regularly updated. And there we go. We've used 50% battery now, and since using that 50%, or using that 50% battery, we have done, let's see, we've done 60, just get my maths right here, yeah, done 60, no, sorry, 70, 69 miles, 70 miles, we've done, yeah, let's go, we've done 70 miles on that 50% battery. So logic would have it that that means I should have 70 miles range left on the gun. It is actually showing I've got 51 miles, so sticking true to the 121 miles, which there or thereabouts. I think I had 117 miles range showing on the gun when I left the rapid charger. But I've managed to extract 70 miles from the 50% of battery we've used so far. So obviously the thing with a rapid charger with the Ioniq, to protect the battery, the internal electronics cuts off a rapid charger at 94%. So I'm not driving on 100% battery, so that means I've now got 43% battery left. So I'm not going to get another 70 miles. But certainly another 50 miles I think is very, very realistic. And if I was to draft this lorry, I'd probably get even more. But as I say, now getting to the point where I've got nearly twice the capacity of the battery as I need. In other words, I've got 50 miles range, I've got 26 miles to go. So I can, as I like to do, again, within the realms of the speed limits, just have a little bit of fun and waiting for a break in the traffic. We'll get around this lorry and I'll show you a bit of the acceleration of what this actually does. However, traffic isn't being kind to me at the moment. Come on, here we go, ready, steady, and here we go. So that's just in normal mode. The Ioniq has 3 different modes. Eco mode, which limits your acceleration to 70 miles an hour, speed rather. As regular mode, which we're in at the moment, or normal. And that doesn't have a limit in unless you're actually programming it in. Again, previous video, that will show you how to set up the different driving modes. If you get an Ioniq, by the way, and you get a second-hand one, check for software updates, because you'll find when you do settings on the driving modes, if the car doesn't memorize them, chances are you've got an old software version in the car. Take it to the Hyundai dealer nearest to you and basically they can do an update for you. It's usually done via a USB key. It's not done over the air. We don't get over the air updates like a Tesla does, unfortunately, and like the Jag I-Pace does. Stu, if you're still watching, or Stud, if you're still watching, I don't know if you've seen the Jag I-Pace. It's very expensive, but I have to say it's very nice, not very efficient. But if you like a blue car like me, they do a stunning blue on the I-Pace, I have to say. Then they call it Casicum. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but yeah, that's stunning. I was really lucky enough to do a Jag experience day at Alton Park Circuit in Cheshire. That was a heck of an experience. So guys, I don't know whether Jaguar are going to repeat these, but it's worth Googling Jaguar experience days, because they do these with different cars as well, not just the I-Pace. I'm pretty certain they will do more, particularly as more availability of the I-Pace comes up, because yeah, they obviously wanted to sell more cars. But fantastic days. I got to do a drive around a coned course with random gates on it. There's a bit of video of that again on my channel, and you also got to look at the vehicles. You got to do an agility test. You got to drive around Alton Park Circuit as well, unescorted, although you travel in what they call the peloton, so you're just following each other around the circuit. There was a qualified racing driver in front basically, and the idea was you tried to keep up with him. He was very kind to us, let's put it that way. We weren't allowed to overtake, so you weren't allowed to race. I don't think they wanted the bodywork built. Yeah, that was a heck of an experience. I'm just going to pop it in sport mode. We're doing 66 mile an hour. I'll just show you how quick it can accelerate. I'm just going to get up to the back of that Volkswagen in front. Again, hopefully that gives you a sense of speed of the Ioniq. I'm not flooring it because, yeah, I don't want the boys in blue pulling me over. Tesla Model X there, just going down the opposite side of the road. And yeah, so those of you watching and those of you that are on the stream here, thanks very much. I do appreciate you actually being here. When I started doing these videos, I never actually imagined that anybody would watch these things. I just sort of was doing it for myself, really, particularly after seeing videos by people like Tesla Bjorn and Like Tesla, and Ben Sullins as well. I think the videos are very interesting. I think my rambling probably isn't, but I guess we all have that opinion of ourselves at times. So yeah, it's not lost on me. The channel's doing incredibly well with, at this moment, 124 subscribers. Always welcome more subscribers, so if you are watching, please like the videos and subscribe. That really helps me. Don't get any money from the videos whatsoever. It would be nice eventually to do that. Monetizing rules with YouTube at the moment are that you need to have 1,000 subscribers. So we've got a long way to go yet, and about 4,000. Because my videos, my random rambles, basically, you know, they seem to be watched for around about 3 hours a day in different locations. So Stud's come back, and we've got, yeah, Nissan Leaf is bigger than the Hyundai Ioniq, or Kona though. Yeah, I mean, body length wise, very similar. Cabin space, that's really important. Boot wise, yeah, Nissan Leaf, it's deeper. Whereas you've got a flat floor because the battery is part in the boot and part underneath the rear seat in the Ioniq, whereas the battery in the Leaf is completely in the floor. The next version of the Ioniq I'm anticipating basically they'll have learnt the lessons from the Kona and the first Ioniq, and they'll put the battery into the floor. Kona, yeah, they missed a real opportunity with the Kona. I know people are looking at it side by side with the Leaf, but the boot, by comparison, yes, is substantially smaller. And most importantly, if you, like me, you know, if you're a family man and you've got kids, teenagers, growing adults, basically sitting in your rear seat, then you do really need that space, rear leg room, and the Kona just simply doesn't offer that. It basically is a 2+2. I've driven a conventional Kona, and I'm 6'1", and with my seat in that position, I couldn't sit, I could just sit behind myself, but I wouldn't want to sit behind myself for any longer than probably, I don't know, a short 10-20 mile journey. So yeah, I think the other thing as well to say about the Leaf is it's a very nice looking car. The CHAdeMO charging setup, you know, that's basically everywhere on all the motorway chargers if you use those. It's on all the rapid chargers. The only thing that bothers me a little bit about that is that CCS seems to have been adopted now by all the big manufacturers like Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Jaguar. So all the new boys coming to the field are bringing the CCS chargers, and indeed Tesla are also going to fit CCS. There was rumour that the Nissan Leaf 60, or what they call the, I think it's called the 3.0, that's coming out with a 60 kilowatt battery pack, was going to have CCS, but it still appears to have CHAdeMO on it. It would seem that the charging speeds on the Ioniq chargers in Europe, which there's problems with the cables at the moment, so apparently they're not online. But those cables that are capable of doing 150 kilowatt an hour and more in terms of charging speed, they're liquid cooled, and I don't think they've quite perfected that with the CHAdeMO cables yet. Or indeed, those chargers may not even be fitted with CHAdeMO cables. So I understand the 3.0 will have a really rapid charging speed, potentially of 100 kilowatt an hour, from the little bit of news leaks that seem to be coming out about the 3.0. But it all depends on what your daily drive is, what your daily commute is. I mean, my 120 miles that I do as a commute, you know, the pattern I follow is I get a little bit of preconditioning and a little bit of charge on an economy tariff that I have through Octopus Energy called EV Go, and I highly recommend that. If anybody ever wants a link to that, please just send me a message and I'll give you a link for that, because it basically, if you use that link, it'll credit you £50 as well as myself, £50 as well. And they're a really good company. The EV Go tariff, you get 5 pence per kilowatt between past midnight. Grab those 4 hours of charging. Charge for about and precondition the car for about half an hour before setting off on a cold morning, and then I go to the Rapid, which is about 25 miles away, where I started the first video today, and then I do the remaining 97 miles basically on what I've got in the battery, and that seems to be absolutely fine. If I did need to charge further down, could do. There's loads of chargers on the way, but I prefer using the free chargers if I can, save a bit of money. I'm a Yorkshireman, for heaven's sake, we all like to save money. And basically then I plug in at work, got a 7 kilowatt charger there, and that gives me 4 hours basically at 7 kilowatts to recharge the battery full again. And indeed usually it does it within 3 hours 20, 3 hours 50, because obviously I get there with about 20% battery left. Anyway, it's not like I get there on empty. This lorry seems to like this lane. Down to 50. An interesting characteristic with this when you regen, by the way, is that if you're on level 2 and level 3 regen, it's great because your rear brake lights do come on when you take your foot off the accelerator. One thing to be mindful if you're on level 1 regen is that your brake lights do not come on when you're slowing down, and it's much more gradual deceleration. So a little bit of speed between M42 and, well, this part of the M42, just not my comfort zone, if you like, down to 21 miles. So that's all cool. And it looks like I'm going to be stuck in traffic for a bit before I do the final bit of my journey. So I'm going to call it a day on this video now. Thank you very much to Robert and to Stud and Henry, yeah, who replied to Stud about the Leaf boot. I have to say, I think the Leaf's a good car, and I think when Rapid Gate is fixed, it'll be a lot more attractive to other buyers. But yeah, I think it's good. So yeah, I'm going to end the video just here. Thanks again very much for being on board, and if you like the video, if you could go onto the YouTube channel and just have a look at it, put a comment there as well, that'd be really nice. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And yeah, I'll catch you again. It may well be that I do live stream later on, particularly if it's snowing, because we are forecast snow this afternoon, and I know there's some great concerns about how the Ioniq is in winter. Lots of people fit winter tyres. I don't have winter tyres on. I've got the original ones on, so if the weather is a little bit treacherous, I will live stream again this afternoon. But yeah, thanks very much, guys. Take care.